Talking about stray. Come on in, Brother Steve. David had a dog named Rufus. What was the other name? The other black dog? Coco, yeah. There's a stray dog named Rufus. We named him Rufus. He come up to David, and then I had Coco to come up to David.
I raised that one.
Did you bought that one? But that was the sorriest dog you ever had, right? Yeah. Coco was sorry, and old Rufus was just an old stray. And he should have took him in, but he wouldn't leave. Old Rufus would hang around and lay by the door. And finally, David had to get rid of him, but he wished he'd have kept him. He said the other one, Coco, wasn't with the tooth. And Rufus would have made a better watchdog, and he just lay there by the carport. And but I got thinking about straying. I seen cats, and you have too, that be plumb skinny, and they would be just wandering place to place, walk on top of your cart at night. Every I go out there to the garage to get my Jeep out, and there's tracks all across it. I ain't got no use for a cat, to be honest with you, but that's just my opinion. You always love cats, but there's several stray cats I've looked at, and I got thinking about stray. And stray, we sometimes like that old cat, that old dog, we just stray. We wander here and yonder, do this and that and the other. I strayed bad the other night. I mean bad. It's the most excitement Janice has had in years. What happened was we was coming from Nashville. I went over to watch Kristen play football, my grandson, and we decided we wanted us a Burger King hamburger. And I never went through the drive-thru. That's my first time. Anyway, I went into, well, first of all, I was going to turn, and Janice said, no, it's on down. And I went past it. I had to turn around and come back. Went, had the hamburger, everything was lovely. And then I strayed bad. I went through the drive-through, got 2 hamburgers, was heading out, and I took a left instead of a right. You know what happened? There was cars coming toward me, 50 miles an hour. And I went down the median, and I stayed in the median till I got where I was supposed to be and got out there. But I strayed off the path of what I should have been doing. And it could have been that. Janice was just screaming all over. That's why she was excited. She was excited because I said, there ain't nothing to this. You know, I just kind of played it off, but it did scare me. And thank the Lord he had his angels with him.
That wasn't exciting, that was horrible.
That's crazy. But sometimes we go astray or stray off the paths in a spiritual way. To stray means to go astray means to wander from, roam, led away from truth, led into error, deceive, be led from the path of virtue to sin, sever, fall away from the truth. And you know, the devil is pleased when we do these things. When we start straying away from what God's word says, and in a spiritual way we stray, we need to be praying instead of straying. Don't you think? We need to do a lot of praying. But we do stray from time to time. You know, the Bible teaches us that we're like sheep. We're compared to as a sheep or a lamb. And the Bible tells us, so listen to Isaiah 53 verse 6, it says, all we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way. In other words, we've been complacent. We start forgetting God. That's what it amounts to. We all are going off astray like a sheep. What would happen to a sheep? Who's the wolf that's told in the Bible? The devil. The devil dresses up like he can dress up like any. He can be red, with some people pieces, which is a lie, with a pitchfork and all that. That's a lie. He's nothing but a deceiver and a liar and a murderer and a thief. And he can get you to stray his way. He looks like an angel. By the way, Corinthians says, there's no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. And his ministers Now, who we talking about? The devil. And no marvel, Satan. His ministers appear, in other words, I'll put it in my words, as righteous, good. I was looking on YouTube, going through some different preachers, and I run across Jimmy Swaggart. Anybody remember him?
Okay.
Was he deceived? He strayed? I watched him, and he was crying and wanting repentance and all that. And they had all kinds of stuff on Jimmy Swaggart. But he had strayed. At one time, I feel like he was a preacher, a good preacher, when he first started out. But then he was led away. Satan had led him astray, and it was really bad. And then they got to opened the door to a lot of ministers, and we're going to get into that in a minute too, about they have gone astray. It's easy to go astray. It's easy. We like old Rufus, we just in young. So we're referred to as sheep. It says in Isaiah 53:6, we have we like sheep have gone astray. We've turned everyone his own way. First we'll read Jeremiah chapter 2. And think about this, and you have to listen real close to pick up, but Jeremiah chapter 2, 1 through 13. And think about straying.
Moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Go and cry in the ears of Jerusalem, saying, Thus saith the Lord, I remember thee, the kindness of thy youth, the love of thine house, when thou wentest after me in the wilderness, in a land that was not sown. Israel holiness unto the Lord, and the first fruits of his increase. All that devour him shall offend. Evil shall come upon them, saith the Lord. Hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of Jacob, and all the family of the house of Israel.
All right, listen to 5 real close.
Thus saith the Lord, what iniquity have your fathers found in me, that they are gone far from me, and have walked after vanity, and are become vain. All
right, stop right. Let's just talk about that 5th verse for a minute, and see and think about stray. What does stray mean? Those different things that I mentioned about. It says, Thus saith the Lord, what iniquity have your fathers found in me, that they are all gone far from me. Have they strayed? They had gone far from. You know, the Bible. Well, I'll get into it, Greg, about what it teaches over in Deuteronomy, but we stray from day to day, from time to time, and we need, like I say, we need to be praying instead of straying. If you're praying to God and you're sincere in your prayer, and the Bible teaches that men ought to always pray, and pray without ceasing, and pray one for another. Instead of straying, if you're praying an honest, not an honest prayer, a true prayer to God, then the straying won't be in your mind with it. As long as you focus on Jesus. He tells us to look to Jesus. The Bible teaches us to look to Jesus, the author and finisher of your faith. So we need to, instead of straying, we need to be praying. And it comes right on down, we'll start with verse 11.
Hath a nation changed their gods, which are yet no God, but my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. Be astonished, O ye heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid. Be ye very desolate, says the Lord. For my people have committed two evils. They have forgotten me, and they have forsaken me, the fountain of living water. Used them out systems, broken systems, that can no longer hold water.
All right, listen to 11. It says, hath a nation changed their gods? Whoa, we in America, have we changed our gods? Well, some people don't even have no God. Not even us. I don't even think they have a little God. They don't even think nothing about no kind of God. And America fits this picture right here to a T. It says, hath a nation changed their gods, which are no gods, but my people have changed their gods, which doth not profit. And then that 13th verse, he says, for my people, is this the devil's people? No, this is God's people. For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me. All right, forsaking and straying is the same thing. They have forgotten God. Back up to Deuteronomy 28, if you would. David, how about reading Deuteronomy 28, I think it's, hold on a minute, we can stray just like old Rufus and be doing our own thing. Deuteronomy 28, actually, well, I'll just read it myself. It says in verse 2, and all the blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord. And he tells you all these blessings that come. We went on and read all of them, but blessed shall it be in the city, blessed shall it be in the field. He comes right on down all the blessings. But in that 15th verse, after all the blessings was told that God would bless us with, he says, but, it shall come to pass if thou wilt not hear and hearken to the voice of the Lord, thy observe to do all his commandments and his statutes I command thee, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. You see where they had started, you can start straying. They were blessed as long as they was what? Obeying God. And the Bible tells us, I think it's over, it's in Acts 5:29, am I right? Says that we ought to obey God rather than men. We're to obey God. Well, as long as you're not straying, and as long as you're praying to God and focusing on God and doing all these things, then he says in the 28th chapter, the first 15, that you are blessed. But, there's that but. Here comes the straying part. If you start straying away, you start serving other gods, you start doing other things that are contrary to what God would have us to do, then there's a cursing that comes. And then, listen to verse 22. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, with a fever, and with inflammation, and with extreme burning, with a sword, and blasting, with a mildew. And he tells them all these bad things that he's going to do. Do we have a jealous God?
Yes.
Our God is a consuming fire God. He's a jealous God. And he'll bring destruction to those that are straying away. Now, turn to Jeremiah 6:16. I love this verse. And Brother McKinney, that was here the other night, bless his heart, he's how old? 96?
96.
Brother McKinney and I have had several sit-downs, and this is one that he went over with me time after time after time, and then I think Brother Billy's daddy, as I was studying him with him, he also would go over this time after time. But Brother McKinney he sat down and talked with you about this, and it really opened my eyes to see some truths there. Jeremiah chapter 6. Brother David, will you read, start with verse 16? Well, back up to, let me see, scroll back up to. Start with verse 14, Brother David.
Okay. They have healed also the hurt of the daughter of my people slightly, saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. Were they ashamed when they had committed abomination? Nay, they were not ashamed, neither could they blush. Therefore they shall fall among them that fall. At the time that I visit them, they shall be cast down, saith the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way? And walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they say, we will not walk therein. Also I set a watchman over you, saying, hearken to the sound of the trumpet. But they say, we will not hearken. Therefore hear, ye nations, and know, O congregation, what is among them. Hear, O earth, behold, I will bring evil upon this people, even the fruit of their thoughts, because they have not hearkened unto my words, nor to my law, but rejected it.
All right. You see what's happening here? He says, stand ye in the ways. Well, what is the way? Jesus said in John 14:6, I believe it is, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. So Jesus is the way. Isn't it? Now we over in Matthew teaches in the 7th chapter over there that we can walk a different way other than Christ's way. We can stray off into a broad way, can't we? Or we can walk that straight and narrow way and enter the kingdom. And it says you're going to find that. But there's a path here. Remember, I come out of the Burger King and I went down the wrong path. And it could have been destruction. It could have been death for me and Janet. But I got back on the right path. Well, same way in a spiritual way, we walk in an old way, which is a good way. It's the right way. But they said, we will not walk therein. Were they straying away from the truth then? God told them, you just walk this way. But they said, no, we're not going to walk that way. We're not going to do what you say. And we get to a point sometimes we think that we can just do whatever we want to. But if you don't stick with thus saith the Lord, you got a big problem. You start walking your way and straying your way, it winds up being destructive. What happens to those cats and dogs that we talk about straying? Usually they get run over or they starve to death or something happens to them. Well, the same in a spiritual way. If we decide we're just going to do what we want to, then the Lord says, I will rebuke and chasten the ones that I love. You follow this? We stray sometimes. And we all stray. We're all sheep going astray. We read that. But we need to listen to God and think about what we're doing. So these old paths is the good way. Walk that path of righteousness. You know, we stray sometimes from our duty, don't we? Now, all those have a responsibility. I don't know what your responsibility in the church is or whatever, but in a spiritual way, God has given us something to do. And we all familiar with Jonah. Jonah was told something to do. It's his duty to go preach to the what? The Ninevites. The big city, a very sinful city. And Jonah decided, Jonah decided this. Now, God didn't say to him to go get him a boat and have a Mediterranean vacation, did he? But he was going to take a med cruise instead of doing what God said. And he gets on the boat, pays the fare up, everything's fine, and takes off. They take off. But God told him to do something else. And he strayed off from what God told him to do. And the end result was he lived in a hell. Jonah chapter 2, verse 2, he said, out of the belly of hell cried out. Why was he in hell? Because he had strayed from the duties that God told him to do. How many times has Jerry or you strayed from doing your duties? You know, we're without excuse. We're without excuse. The Bible tells us over in James 4:17, it says, for those that know to do good, do you know to do good? For those that know to do good, do it not, it's a sin. What's a sin? It's the wages of sin is separation from God or death. That's what it means. We know what to do. Jonah knew what God told him to do, but Jonah was going to take the vacation in him. And it wound up in hell. The prodigal son, I'm going to hurry up with this, but look, the prodigal son's another one. Did he stray from his father? Did the prodigal son, when he said in Luke 15:1, 15, 8 or 10 somewhere in there. Anyway, talking about the prodigal son. There were two boys. We all know the story, the parable of it. Two boys, two sons, and a father. And the one son, the prodigal son, the number one prodigal, they were both prodigal sons. I mean, you get to reading about it. But the prodigal son said, I want my inheritance and I want it now. Well, the Father, which represents God the Father in this, as you spiritualize this, or the house could be the church of God, but nevertheless, the Son went away with his inheritance, that he went ahead and gave him his inheritance, made him happy. And he lived a luscious, wonderful life for a while. As long as you got plenty of money, as long as you got plenty of beer, as long as you got plenty of whiskey, the world is going to love you. Sorry. But when you give out money and your inheritance, they ain't got no use for you. They'll be like a bunch of wolves again, going to wear prey on somebody else that does have some money or whatever they want. The main point is we need to stay with the Father. The Father. Jesus tells us that we're to serve God, love Him with all our heart, soul, and mind, and we're not to be like that prodigal stray. That prodigal son strayed away from the house, which would be the church. And I heard him on there. I got very. I want to get into this. I got to mention this bird. I'd love to read about this bird and think about this nest. But in Proverbs over in 27:8, it says, "As a bird wandereth from his nest, so is a man that wandereth from his place." As a bird wandereth, what happens? You know, when a bird builds a nest, they are not all the same size. Each bird that God has created, some birds live in little twiggy looking things with small holes to enter in. Some have big nests, some have little nests. But all of them is their place of refuge. And when you start leaving your place of refuge, which is the house, and I'll say it's the church, you start leaving the church and straying away and all that, there's a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. Over in Peter, it says that Satan is as a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. Will he seek you and devour you if you stray off from your home or house? Absolutely. Closing with the scripture here, we're just basically supposed to do what we're supposed to do. God told us what to do when you listen. 2 Peter 2:15 says, "Which have forsaken the right way and gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Bojar, who loved the wages of unrighteousness." That first part says, "Which have forsaken the right way." When you start forsaking the right way, you're straying. You're straying. And what will straying cause? Cause death or separation. You won't feel God's blessings. Because God says, "Blessed if you do these things, but cursed if you do these things." Stay on the right path. The old path is the good way and the right way. Don't get on the path of destruction, which will lead to death or separation. Anybody got anything? Well, David, you dismiss it?